Heading up to Kef Temple right now, going up a tiny road deep into the mountains. This is the real deal here, way off the beaten path. Hey, Matthew LaCroix here for, I think this is day 4 of our expeditions here for Ionis. Now today, we're at a place called Kef Temple, above a town called Ajijavez. And it's on a different part of Lake Van. It's on the northwest part of Lake Van, below a massive, massive stratovolcano that's 12,000 feet high, called Mount Sufan. And so today, what we're gonna be doing is a truly real adventure. We're gonna be hiking more than a mile up into an ancient temple that, just like Chavus Tepe, we have a high chance of finding artifacts because the Kef box relief came from this location, one of the most important artifacts in history, found on the southeast of the slope. Because of some disaster that destroyed the temple, we're also gonna be searching the slope to see what kind of artifacts and secrets we can find. You ready for this adventure? It's starting right now. How many ancient sites can you see like this around the world where you have to hike up to the top of a mountain like this? It's truly a place that's been forgotten in time. We're scaling up to the top of that. We're well over 6,000 feet right now. So check this out. There's a tortoise right here. Look at this. Way up on these high mountain slopes. There's a road up on top of this ridge that we're heading up to right now. We're about halfway up right now. Coming up on the ridge right now. On top of that is Kef Temple. Probably just did about 1,000 feet elevation gain. But here's the road. So we just can follow that up to the temple now. But the scenery up here is absolutely spectacular, guys. Look at this, amazing. Imagine thousands of years ago, high priests and sages would take pilgrimages and hike up into here. They didn't live up here. They would pilgrimage up to this ancient site to connect to higher states, to connect to celestials like Haldi. And that was part of it, was part of the journey. It's not just about being at the temple. The journey is a big part of it. And what a spectacular journey it is. So, we are approaching the top of Kef Temple right now. It's just spectacular scenery, and I wanted to show where the temple is and where the Kef box relief ended up falling down to give some perspective about how massive the wave must have been, the tsunami that rolled through here, destroying everything and leaving it behind. Take a look at this. Right ahead of me, right there, see those rocks in front of the road here? That's Kef Temple, what's left of it. And this is the massive slope that Kef box relief was sent all the way down below that hillside to that town. What kind of disaster could have sent that far down? Something absolutely massive. Nice job, Martin. Look at this incredible basalt piece carved out. It almost looks like a part of an altar. Absolutely amazing, like pieces of the altar broke here. Look at this. Now, when you have important artifacts sticking out of the ground, that's what's called poor archaeology. Okay, these things should be excavated, and this should be an area that's roped off, showing all of these ancient relics. So just like Şavuz Tepe, look at this. Look at this, sitting in the middle of nowhere, and nobody cares about it. But Martin, we're gonna change that, aren't we?
We care about it.
We're gonna show these secrets to the world and finally have these places respected and appreciated for what they deserve.
Absolutely.
These ancient relics are some of the oldest in the world, and they're just sitting here. Here's the evidence to show it. Let's go see what else we can find. Okay, so here we have another whole set of ruins. This looks completely unexcavated, like it has never been touched before, and this is likely where those other blocks that we just looked at came from. So what we're looking at here is another temple that is a proxy to the main Haldi temple. So what we're looking at is not one temple complex for Kef, but actually multiple temple complexes. Now again, like we see in a lot of the Ararat civilization, you see either mostly basalt or mixed with andesite. Now all of these stones are all basalt, which of course is extremely hard stone that would have been impossible to carve with Bronze Age tools. Just amazing, but I just want to leave behind the message that I keep reiterating over and over again. Look at all these buried, not even excavated, just forgotten from the world. But that is something that we're going to change.
That's right.
Take a look at this, another temple site, completely unexcavated, sitting here, almost buried, just sticking up out of the soil. Another one of these proxy temple sites. It brings up the question of how many temples are actually up here at Kef. It's a much larger area than anyone has ever led to believe, or even in archaeological papers discussing it. I'm glad that we finally get to document this for the world so they can see how incredible these lost sites are. So here's another complex. I mean, this is now the fourth temple. It looks like there are sets of smaller temples that are mixed in the landscape. Now, how they fit together in a larger complex is unknown, but at least we can document all of them, because I believe I'm the first person to actually capture these lower megalithic temples, not the original that some tour guides go to. So you're not going to see this anywhere else. Look at this. This is what's left over. Oh wow, look at this, right? Look at this, Martin. This is evidence of vitrification right here. Look at how the rock was burned. That is some of the best evidence I've seen of vitrification. That means temperatures had to exceed 2,000 degrees, Martin.
2,000 degrees.
Coronal mass ejection was likely the cause of that, but that's classic vitrification evidence right there.
Amazing.
So here we are at the main Kef Temple site, which is the only one that I've ever seen photographed or shown anywhere, which makes this about the fifth temple site up here, not a single temple site, which really opens up questions of how many there actually are and what's beneath the ground. But again, this is the main temple of Haldi, where we believe that the Kef box relief was housed in this temple and then rolled down the hill. And now one of the things that archaeologists believe is that there's more than one of those box reliefs, and they just haven't found them yet. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go see if we can uncover them together. We're going to walk down the slopes, down the hill here, and see what we can find. Take a look at these stairs. This is part of the ancient stairway into the temple. There's still part of it remaining. Absolutely incredible. Paul, isn't this amazing?
It is phenomenal. I mean, just the walk up here and then looking at what was engineered here. It was hard enough to walk up here with a backpack. Look at what was brought here from 200 miles away and then engineered here. We're on top of the world, but just it's very sobering as you walk up that hill and you begin to see basalt blocks that have been thrown or rolled down the hill, that have broken off. And you begin to wonder what on earth could have done this.
Exactly, and the other question, or the other thing that really comes to mind is, this is like an ancient pilgrimage site. So Paul, I would imagine people did not live up here. They would take pilgrimages. High priests, sages, would come up here as like a higher ascension connection to Haldi and the higher celestial realm. So this is a very sacred site.
Very possible. I mean, just down here we've got Adijavaz. It's an obvious place to have a town. It's right by the beautiful lake. But I think also as a place of pilgrimage, that was a place of business. You came here. That's where people got their supplies,
Right.
got their lodging before they made the trek.
Exactly, exactly. So what we have here is the main Haldi temple. I was actually incorrect. That was a proxy temple, the Haldi temple, which makes this about the 6th temple site that we've seen on this, making this an absolutely massive, massive complex, much, much larger than has been talked about by archaeologists, but also has been shown. So here is the main Kef Temple, where the box relief was likely housed within this sacred area. How exactly that box relief was used is pretty unknown. We don't know how it was displayed, but look at this. Look at the damage of these basalt blocks that have been thrown around like they're little tinkered blocks of like wood. They're almost like they take these multi-ton blocks and it's just being thrown everywhere. Just an absolutely incredible place to be. But I want to show off some of the absolutely incredible precision of these buttresses. Now, if you notice the similarities with Ionis, these are the exact same design of the buttresses that are outside it, except they're actually in better condition and more intact than Ionis here. But look at the precision of this. This is as good as it gets to see lost high technology from the lost Ararat civilization. So here we are at the main temple of Haldi on top of Kef. This is a spectacular area. I counted at least six different temple sites on the way up, making this one of the largest of the lost Ararat civilization sites that we know of. But what's fascinating about that is that these sites have only been shown in every image and every archaeological paper as being just the Temple of Haldi. That's it. That's all that's described. But there is actually a much, much larger complex than we know, and much larger than it's excavated. I want to show these unbelievably incredible basalt blocks right here, still fitted together perfectly the way they were over 20,000 years ago. But some of them have been strewn and destroyed. Imagine a wall of water, miles and miles high, sweeping through the landscape, destroying all these temples, and sending artifacts like the Kef box relief all the way down to Ada Chavez at the bottom of this valley, truly making this one of the biggest disaster sites I've ever seen. Now, another area I want to discuss is the extreme vitrification I've seen on numerous rocks, and I've captured some already, but as we walk around, we're going to see some of that vitrification, showing extreme heat also hit these sites. So you're looking at a combination of multiple disasters that destroyed the ancient people here. Let's walk around and see some of the sites. Now here's part of this, one of the stairways that was probably a larger set of stones that led into the temple. Now it's been broken off and fractured, and you can see other pieces scattered around. But one of the things that's a challenge is we have to try to put together and recreate what this temple looked like, because we have no idea what these temple complexes actually looked like thousands and thousands of years ago. Come look at this vitrification over here. So what you have here is extremely interesting. I've seen numerous rocks in here. This rock right here, as well as this rock right here, and several others in here are displaying what we call massive, massive damage on their surfaces from extreme heat. Over 2,000 degrees to create that kind of damage. And it's even better examples down here. And just look at these incredible stones just sticking out of the ground. Here's some other evidence of vitrification. Now come look close on this one. I want to show you. Now notice that the basalt fractures off and actually burns. You can see the burning nature that came right through this section right here. This can only happen from vitrification. That's why the story we're told about these sites is inaccurate and how old they are. We have to go far back before the Younger Dryas catastrophes of 12,000 years ago to another entire cycle to understand when these were built. Come look down here further. Now notice, going down the slope of these temples, you see massive basalt blocks that have fallen and strewn themselves down towards the town below. Now one of the things we're going to be doing, just like Chavuz Tepe, is we're going to walk down this slope and see if we can find anything. So where I'm standing right now, and you can see where it originally had fallen down from up on the slope. Yep, down that slope is the largest of all the megalithic blocks we've seen so far at Kef Temple. Look at how this has fallen its way all the way down that slope. What kind of force could have moved a stone this big? This is a piece of solid basalt that is at least 10 tons, at least 10 tons. And it was thrown down here from some kind of an incredible event. Now come closer, I want to show you something. This is evidence for what could have caused it. Here is some of the best evidence for vitrification I've ever seen. You can actually see where the rock has completely melted right here on this side of the surface, showing that the sun hit right in this zone right here. Look at the actual melting, the pocketed effect, and even turning it into like a very, very brown-like color where it literally melted, almost turning it like obsidian glass, which of course we're finding on the surface here. But this is incredible. Just think about what this could have been. Maybe part of the main altar site? We don't know. Only the top surface remains. It looks like it was broken away and then thrown down the slopes. So we're not able to go down the full hillside because we're limited on time and we have some storms rolling through. But on future expeditions with other scientists and experts, we're going to need to comb this entire hillside to see what still remains in the future. When we get scientists and archaeologists involved in this in a greater way, we're going to need to do new excavations to see how extensive this ancient Kef Temple complex really is. While exploring the northern part of the site, I was completely surprised to find an undocumented wall here on the back of a steep cliff that we just descended down to. And you can see on the right here, built into the bedrock, is an ancient wall. Let's go check it out. Look at this. The remnants of one of the ancient temple walls, similar to Ionis when you're going up towards the temple. One of these lower walls that's almost completely like abandoned and looks like not even excavated. Look at the size of some of these basalt blocks. Just tremendous, tremendous. Now, I would imagine that these were much more tightly fitted before tremendous earthquakes. Looks like they've separated a lot of the lower pieces. But this is part of the ancient wall that used to be here. It just gives us an understanding that the Kef Temple complex is massive, covering the entire top of the mountain. This is an area that needs to be fully excavated and mapped out in the future. And I won't stop until archaeologists fully recognize the importance of this site. These are incredible. They're just remnants of them though. This may be one of the largest ones in the whole complex. Look at this. So check out this, what we just found right now. We are at another section of the wall and we have what is second or potentially even larger. We can't tell how large this is, but it's one of the largest stones at Kef Temple. And it's part of this outer wall that's completely unexcavated. I don't think this has ever been touched by archaeologists. Remaining on the back side of this, showing how much of this, Paul, still needs to be uncovered. For sure. Look at the inlay work right here. See? Yes. See the L cut? Yep. Just like Peru and Ionis. There's an L stone right there, fitted right into place. Wow.
I'm going to enjoy coming back here as an archaeologist.
We're about to leave the Kef Temple site, but I just wanted to give a brief conclusion at this absolutely spectacular location. Literally one of the most beautiful places I think I've ever been. And we're in the back side of the site looking at this old wall from the original temple site. And you can see how large the temple site was. That's only partially excavated, maybe 5, maybe 10%, maybe less. But I can tell you right now, there are so many mysteries that still remain at this Kef Temple site. So many artifacts, box reliefs, sacred symbols that still remain below the ground. In future expeditions, we're going to come here and uncover them and work to find the truth of these ancient sites. So much has been lost from our ancient past. Like echoes in the wind, the memory of these forgotten civilizations still lingers, with the structures they created and artifacts they left behind. Just like the megaliths they built that will last the test of time, the sacred energy of their presence can still be felt here, emanating from the temples and pillars of a once great culture. What secrets still remain, waiting to be uncovered, and what could they be trying to tell us about who we once were?